Yo, good morning, everybody. Welcome back. I know that these, excuse me, these things right here shouldn't actually really be here. These, what do you call them? Overlays. Overlays shouldn't be here because technically I am not live. However, this will be premiering, so I will be in the chat with you guys as I go through my spiel here. So today is a little bit of a different day, a little bit of a quirky day, and yeah, so we're just gonna get right into it. Some Pixel 6 rumors with all the fear. Like, you can't have, a Pixel talk without the fears. This has been a steady trend with every iteration of a Google Pixel device and its release. There's always this fear. It's always a fear that it's just not going to live up to the hype. And what's funny is that fear grows more and more with every iteration, because it tends to be that with the past releases of past Google Pixel devices, there's always been like that one thing that just like tends to ruin the major hype behind it. And I don't know how people would feel about that or whatnot. I know that at this point right now, I mean, expecting perfection is ridiculous. There's not such thing as a perfect phone, but there is such thing as a perfect phone for you. Sometimes people got to relax their standards and just understand that it's not going to be exactly all lollipops and rainbows and cotton candy and balloons and all that stuff. Sometimes there's just some certain things that will just be a little bit different. And so yeah, this coming from the Tech Radar, I believe it is. And I'll put the link in the description so you guys can actually check out this article afterwards if you guys want to. But there it is right there, Tech Radar. So let's talk a little bit about it. Let's kind of go over each piece here. So it says Google Pixel 6 might have a disappointing chipset and upgraded cameras. So two quintessential things that we've been talking about with the Google Pixel 6 that, the hype is being built around, right? Its own dedicated processor chip and having upgraded camera sensors from the previous Google Pixel lineup that has been using the same camera sensors since like the Pixel 2 or the Pixel 3. So here they're hitting on those two things. One thing that we do see here is that it goes plus a 120 hertz screen. So apparently the Pixel 6s will have a 120 refresh rate. So there we go. We have right there. So here they go on to talk about, they say one of the most exciting rumored aspects of the Google Pixel 6 range so far has been in the apparent use of an in-house chipset codenamed Whitechapel. But we've now heard a bit more about this, and it doesn't sound quite as exciting anymore. It says, according to leaker Max Weinbach, speaking to Miriam Jor on her Mobile Tech podcast, the Whitechapel chipset will fall between top-end Snapdragon 888 and the Snapdragon 865, which was a flagship Android chipset in 2020. That perhaps puts it in line with the Snapdragon 870, but Weinbach didn't specify this. In any case, it sounds like Whitechapel isn't quite a top-end chipset. So I want to stop right there for a second and just kind of go on this, right? So the Snapdragon 888 processor, which, that's going to be top-end. And they're saying here that it's not going to be quite top-end because it's going to fall, I guess, in performance-wise, it's going to fall somewhere in between the Snapdragon 865 and the Snapdragon 888, maybe around the Snapdragon 870. The 800 series chips from Qualcomm are top end. Even this is the reason why when people are like, yeah, I don't want to spend close to $1,000 on a Pixel. Should I get a Pixel 3? Or should I get a Pixel 4? And like most of us that are, tech enthusiasts can look at that and be like, yeah, you can. Because we know that it's capable. The chip is still capable. So for them to sit there and say that, because it's going to fall somewhere in between the Snapdragon 888 and the Snapdragon 865, that it's not going to be a top-end chip, I don't understand their perception of this. Really would love for them to kind of like go more in depth about it, but they don't really go too much in depth about it. So anyways, it goes other specs and other Pixel products. So the chipset is apparently being made by Samsung using 5 nanometer process, the same process as the Snapdragon 888 and Samsung's own Exynos 2100. And it's not only the aspect of the Pixel 6 range that Weinbach detailed. They go on to talk about it and say that Google Pixel 6 Pro will apparently have a 120 hertz Quad HD screen plus a 5,000 milliamp hour battery and an in-screen fingerprint sensor with millimeter wave 5G and sub 6 gigahertz 5G band supported. The standard Pixel will have a flat screen, so a flatter screen than the Pixel 6 Pro, and a 120 hertz refresh rate, a smaller battery, so probably like 4,400 milliamp or maybe like 4,100 milliamp is what they're probably saying. And the two phones are said to have new, larger main camera sensors. Weinbach didn't go into any specific details, but previous leaks suggest a 6.67-inch curved AMOLED display on the Pixel 6 Pro and then a 6.4-inch flat screen on the Pixel 6. And with the Pro model apparently having a 50 megapixel main camera, an 8 megapixel, they call it a periscope, one with 5 times optical zoom, so I'm going to call that telephoto, and then an ultra wide. On the design front, the Google Pixel 6 will apparently come in a peach, sand, and pink 3-tone color scheme, as well as a silver and black model and a green option. These colors are at the odds with the ones that we've seen on the unofficial renders, though. So hopefully they're wrong about the green and it's blue, because I've seen the blue one, and if anything, I'm going to opt to get the blue one. But apparently the Pixel 6 range will probably land in October, but it could be pushed back to November if there's a chip shortage. They also talk about that the Pixel Watch will apparently land alongside the phone and is likely to be using the same 5 nanometer chip that is rumored for the Samsung Galaxy Watch Active 4. The Pixel 5a, meanwhile, will apparently land in August and will probably cost more than the Pixel 4a, the phone which launched at $349 US. That said, the source didn't specify whether the Pixel 5a will also be more expensive than $499 like the Pixel 4a 5G. We take all this with a pinch of salt for now anyway, but Weinbach is a fairly solid source. So I mean, let's just kind of break this down. So first of all, when it comes to the chipset that they're talking about here, the nanometer chipset, Project Whitechapel, for it being basically in between the Snapdragon 888 and 865. Well, if it's gonna fall in that range of performance, from the chip itself. First of all, I'm not even looking like that as like a major negative. I don't know exactly what they were expecting. Like, is because Google is a giant tech company that they expect that their very first processor chip is going to be flawless right out the gate and 10 times faster than the latest Qualcomm chip. I mean, come on now. We've known this for a while now. When they started, talking about rumors about Project Whitechapel, the GS101 chip, that Samsung was going to be helping Google build this chip, and that they were going to help them design this chip. So, Google reaching out to Samsung for help to, expand, making its own dedicated chip. So therefore, they have basically more control over the Google Pixel phones, their life expectancy, support, and all that good stuff. So obviously, it's known to a lot of people that that Google is not really in there when it comes to making their own hardware, such as Apple. See, that's the thing. Like, Google is, I don't want to say they're transforming into Apple, like they're gonna completely copy Apple, but they have seen the light when it comes down to it. Like, you completely close, shut shop up for the Nexus line and convert your known device to the Pixel lineup. And your emphasis is in still photography, but also in high-end Android experience. And you've been doing that for years, but you've been relying on an outsourced company for your processor chips. And you realize that Apple has much success for one of these things being prevalent in its area, and that is that Apple creates all its hardware for its software. And so Google is taking a page out of Apple's book for that. So are they copying Apple to the exact core of Apple? No. but they have seen the light, and they are now doing things similarly to what Apple is doing, which is basically making their own hardware. And eventually, when they'll step in and they'll probably make their own modem for their devices. So according to TechRadar and many other news publications, they're talking about that the Pixel 6 will have 5G millimeter wave support, which is good, obviously, and of course sub-6. I mean, we found that with the Pixel 5. What I'm thinking here, what they're trying to emphasize, which a lot of people don't really dive deep into 5G network build out, is that more than likely, if they had to go and use a modem from Qualcomm, then more than likely, the Snapdragon X60 is probably going to be the modem in this one. And that's a good thing because obviously more band connection, more carrier aggregation, the works, right? The X52 modem had its limitations. Was it like 3.2 gigabits per second on the down and 1.5 gigabits per second on the up? With the Snapdragon X60, that one, its threshold cap point is going to be higher than that. So that's what I'm speculating. Now, the worst thing that can come in that scenario when it comes to the modem chip that's used within the Pixel 6 would be that it was using the Snapdragon X55. And that would make people frown. So I'm saying here that they're more than likely going to go to X60 as far as the modem for 5G cellular connectivity and whatnot. The design itself, I'm not bummed out about. Some people are. You can't please the entire world. We're not all one mindless robots that think the same way. And so yeah, it doesn't bother me that some people are like, it's ugly. Like, okay, it's ugly. It's ugly. You can't change your mind on that. Well, we'll say this is like what they're talking about these colors, and I'm hoping, so if there's going to be like a sand triple tone pinkish color, okay, that's totally fine. A silver and black, color, that's totally fine. If the exclusive color is going to be green on the regular Pixel 6 and then blue on the Pixel 6 Pro, okay, it's understandable. I would rock the green one. I mean, I have the Pixel 5 Sora Sage, and I like rocking that one, so I would rock the green one. I mean, obviously, for those people who are probably questioning, like, which one would I go for if I had all the money just to buy it up front, it's going to be the Pixel 6. Pixel 6 Pro is going to be much bigger. The device already seems like it's going to be much bigger with the Pixel 6, the normal one, 6.4-inch display. But also, this kind of coincides with news that pretty much dropped out that Google has filed a patent on an under-display selfie camera. So it really seems like that Google is going to ditch away from having a punch hole selfie design for the selfie camera on the device. And actually, they have a way to hide the camera under the display, which, would allow them to do a full screen, full bezel-less screen on your device. Problem with that I have to say is if you put the camera display, the camera sensor under the display so you can achieve a 100% screen to body ratio, you're kind of having like this really odd thing that's going to happen, and that's when people drop their phone and crack the display. If that spider crack happens to cross exactly where the selfie cam is, you're going to have a real hard time with it. It's not to say that you couldn't have that same problem with last year's release of the Pixel 4a's and the Pixel 5, because those have the punch hole display. So even if the spider cracked, it would have went through where the camera sensor is, and yeah, bam, you're gonna have that really odd photo. That's really an odd selfie photo. But yeah, I mean, that's one of those things too. It's also because the in-display fingerprint sensor. I mean, I'm not a fan of that. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to buy the phone. I'm going to tell people not to buy the phone because it doesn't have a rear physical biometric fingerprint sensor in the back. No, I'm not gonna tell people that. And am I going to deter me from actually buying the phone? No, it's not. I'm still gonna get it. I just don't like the idea choice of putting the fingerprint sensor on the display itself. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it could work out. I mean, my only fears with that, if you really want to know, like Tito, why are you so afraid of it being in the display? Well, it's just because, you know, if it doesn't work right or whatever, that's my only fear. Which I'm pretty sure they'll probably have it nailed by then, and it'll probably work flawless or even fast. You know, just a lot of phones that I've watched reviews on with in-display fingerprint sensor. The one thing that people will say in those videos that I've seen in a lot of those videos is that it's not as fast as a physical fingerprint sensor that says on the back of the phone or at the bottom of the chin of the phone. There have been people who's like, yeah, it's pretty fast. It's not as fast as a you know, and I'm spoiled. I'm used to that physical fingerprint sensor on the back being quick enough to just unlock my phone at a single tap. So I'm just like, I don't want to be like over and over again to get it to go. And then people were just like, oh, there's a way to fix that. When you do the in-display fingerprint sensor, just register the same thumb 3 times. Do it for the other thumb 3 times. And the accuracy should be much better when you go to unlock it. I'm just like, okay, well, you know, they have to go through all that. But sometimes you do. Sometimes you just got to go through all that to get what you want. They also talked about the Pixel Watch launching alongside the Pixel 6, which obviously makes sense. But we've seen some renders of the watch itself being right next to a Pixel 6. And so it would make sense that it would launch with it. I mean, yes, you know, I was hooting and hollering about, you know, I wanted to see the Pixel Watch at Google I/O. I just wanted to see some new hardware at Google I/O, even though Google I/O is you know, developer conference for software and changes in software and things like that. Updates to Android 12 and all that goodness. But, you know, it would have been cool to see like an actual watch or something like that at Google I/O. But nonetheless, it's going to be made by Google. The one thing that you know that's going to be really odd, and a lot of people speculate that the Pixel 5a launch will launch with a side partner hardware, which is going to be the Pixel Buds A. So they're thinking the Buds A launches with the 5a, and the Pixel Watch launches with the Pixel 6, Pixel 6 Pro. But there's still talks of a Pixel Fold. And when would that come? Would that come at the end of the year? Would that come at the beginning of 2022? We'll just have to wait and see. There's not too much being dropped about the Pixel Fold, but it's not a rumor device that is dead. As a matter of fact, there's more people that's like, you know, tearing into, you know, Android 12 beta and finding evidence of a Pixel Fold. So, you know, there's code names, and there's code names for the 6 and the 6 Pro, and they pretty much already figured out what those code names are. But then they're seeing another code name for something else, and it's not the watch. So therefore, they're really assuming it is the Pixel Fold. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see by then. But nonetheless, the watch will launch with the Pixel 6. And like they said, it's going to have a 5nm processor chip, the same that's used in the Samsung Galaxy Watch 4 Active. So we'll see that in the Pixel Watch. And of course, you know, at Google I/O, they talked about how Wear OS and Tizen pretty much came together to make a much more enriched and better and faster and battery efficient software for a smartwatch. So a lot of these things tying into Samsung and ultimately Samsung and Google being like, you know, best buds right now, being good partners. We'll see how that relationship, you know, goes, how long it lasts, and what it will do to elevate the mobile tech scene. But on top of that, you also have to think it's more of like a triple threat, because while you have, you know, Google, which, you know, makes Android, and Android's a software that Samsung uses on their phones, along with, you know, their user interface known as One UI, and then combining Tizen with Wear OS. And what makes it a triple threat is that they got a carrier behind them that supports, which is T-Mobile. So that's something else to keep in mind. I am not super concerned for the Pixel 6 and the processing chip. Them talking about the 8-camera sensor, 50 megapixel shooter on the back of the 6 Pro, but they didn't say anything about the Pixel 6. Is the Pixel 6 going to share the same main camera sensor as its big brother, the 6 Pro, or what's happening there? So that's something, but they didn't talk too much about that in there. They were like, you know, they said the cameras is, you know, where it's rumored to probably suffer also. And they went on and talked about a 50 megapixel shooter on the 6 Pro, and they called it a periscope lens with 5 times optical zoom, which I'm just going to call it telephoto lens, and then a you know, ultra wide lens. I'm okay, 3 lenses on the Pro. I know that the Pixel 6 will only yield two sensors on the back. And okay, so what's happening? Like, you know, where is the this is not going to be good for consumers out there. A 50 megapixel shooter is like a huge step up from the 12.2 that we're normally used to within the Pixel 5 all the way back down to the original Pixel. So a 50 megapixel shooter, and that's the main shooter. That's not the ultra wide camera. That's the main shooter. The main camera sensor on the back of the Pixel 6 Pro is a 50 megapixel camera. Okay, so they didn't even go in to say exactly which camera sensor it is. If they did, then I can actually look up more info on that camera sensor and get more specs and details about that specific hardware. But because they did not mention that, I can't look into it and find that out. All in all, guys, you know what? Like, I'm still excited for the Pixel 6 and Pixel 6 Pro. I'm excited that there's still rumors of a Pixel Fold. I want to kind of see how that looks like, what it looks like, and like how's it going to affect the mobile market. Like, you know, I'm still excited for those devices. I'm still excited for the releases of those, but we have to wait until about October for that. The Pixel 5a was going to be around on the market, and I don't know if I'm going to grab one just to grab one. I may try. And also the Pixel Buds A, so I can compare them to the, you know, Google Pixel Buds 2 and see if they actually made some drastic good changes to the Pixel Buds A. I mean, if it doesn't have a wireless charging case and all that stuff, that's no big deal. I don't mind wireless, you know, wire charging. I don't mind that at all whatsoever. But the one thing that I am worried about is that they got rid of the touchpad sensors on that you find on the Pixel Buds 2. Apparently rumored it's not on the Pixel Buds A. So, but no, who knows? We'll see. Anyways, guys, that's pretty much it for today's episode. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section of the video. Okay. I apologize again that I didn't do this live. However, thank you guys for those who stuck it out all the way through till the end of this pre-recorded podcast. Thank you guys for hanging out and staying and everything like that. And you guys are awesome and clutch. I really appreciate you guys very much. If you guys enjoyed it, smash the like button. Please share this on social platforms so it can circulate. And yeah. Hey, thanks for being here. Thanks for watching this premiere. I really appreciate it. And yeah, that's it for right now. I got lots of things I got to get started on here. So, but I will be in here during the premiere, so I'll be in here chatting with you guys. Hopefully you guys knew that already by now. But anyways, guys, y'all take it easy, be cool, be safe, and yeah, till next time, peace.